Saturday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sundays from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m.
ACE, the helpful place.
And preparations for the Taste of Chewelah, and specifically for the Taste of Chewelah art auction, have begun. That event will be happening all over town on Thursday, September 12th. The art auction happens at Quartzsite Brewery. I'm so happy this afternoon to have Abigail Belliveau with us. The idea for this show, Artists on the Air, evolved over years of getting to know our local artists, occasionally, sometimes frequently, asking artists for donations, feeling gratitude for their generosity. A twinge of feeling more than gratitude turned into questioning, how do we, the Chewelah Arts Guild, give back to these artists? How do we honor and promote them? And voila, here we are with Artists on the Air. It is our intention to promote and honor a sampling of artists who have supported our efforts along the way. So let's dive in. So welcome, Abigail.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
So my name is Abigail Belliveau, and I have a small flower farm and vegetable farm here in Chewelah, and it is called, pardon my French, farm. I have a CSA where people pay up front in the spring, and then I deliver weekly bouquets, and I also have stuff at the farmer's market.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your education. How'd you learn to be a flower farmer?
Well, I think it probably started my love of flowers and growing things when I was little. I grew up in the Okanagan, surrounded by an apple orchard, and then the Okanagan River behind us. And it was just a really beautiful place to grow up. And then we lived in Maine, so we've kind of seen a lot of the country, and we eventually made it back to Washington, where kind of my love of farming really began. In high school, I was really interested in sustainable agriculture and kind of knew that's where I wanted to end up. After graduation, I did a little bit of college, but I really loved interning on different farms. And that's when I learned how to run a CSA, Community Supported Agriculture. It's my favorite thing that I do. And that's when the farmer I was working with said, oh, I'm growing flowers. Let's add them in the CSA. And so that was my first experience, really growing flowers as like a farm endeavor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
what brought you back to Chewelah?
So I eventually met my husband, and we lived on Whidbey Island. And I walked into this little flower shop, and it was Valentine's Day. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Valentine's Day is a very stressful time for small florists. They're desperate for help.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So I walked in, and I said, do you need any help? I don't have much experience. And they just threw me right in. And that was when I started learning design, which basically throughout my life, so I did that when I was 20, it has stuck with me. Yeah. So after we had our kids, we wanted to be closer to family. My parents lived here. My twin sister moved here, and I didn't want to be left out. So we moved to magical Chewelah about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Nice.
good. Very
Yeah.
good.
I would imagine it's sort of akin to like the Easter Bunny the day before Easter.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh gosh, it was yeah, definitely.
The candy cane factory before Christmas.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
insane. Yeah. There's a thick carpet of green stems in every flower shop, just on the floor everywhere, coming out of
yeah.
everybody's ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy to have you, Abigail, because I love flowers. And the first Artists on the Air program we had were two artists, both potterers, ceramicists, and then the next one was a painter. And so now we have flower arranging, flower designing. So that's really cool. So how long have you been doing your art of flower arranging?
So I would say, it really started at that flower shop. It's kind of incredible what an impact someone can have on you by just taking you in and just saying, "Oh my gosh, you have a talent for this. You have a natural talent. Let's work on it." And so I would say 20, and then it's kind of gone from there. Yeah. So I'm 34 now. I can't do the math in my head, but 15 years.
Yeah. That was pretty good math.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does this art expression affect the rest of your life?
So I am lucky enough to be a stay-at-home mom. My husband works away from home, and then I stay and do all of the farming and all of the flower growing myself. So all of my bouquets are started from a seed in, February. So I would say it has a really big impact in the sense that it's almost the only thing I really do for me. Yeah. So I think a big impact on me personally. I think on others, you don't really realize what kind of impact your flowers have on people, because it's a very small gesture. It's like a hug, you don't know what people are going through, but if you hug someone, sometimes they'll tell you, or maybe they'll keep it private. But I think it's a small thing that can have a really big impact. Yeah.
I always imagine, as clearly, I mean, obviously it's definitely an art form. But I always sort of, because my brain, likes to categorize things. I always put it up there with like sand art, and some of these arts that you put all this time and effort into it, and then it just sort of goes away shortly afterwards. Does that have any effect on? Is that just something you got to get over and get
That's
used to?
a huge. Okay, so when someone says to me, "Oh, I don't buy fresh flowers; they just die," it's really a shame, and it's a good opportunity for me to be like, that's kind of the point. That's the point of having fresh flowers and having an art that fades and dies. That's real life, and it's I guess an example of how you have to appreciate things while they're here, because eventually they will fade and die.
That's fair.
Yeah.
As opposed to me, who likes to buy live plants and then I slowly watch them suffer and die.
Yeah. I mean that too.
Sorry, plants.
So what I like about your art, Abigail, is all the beautiful and varied flowers you arrange. And like I said earlier, I love flowers too. So what statement or purpose do you make through your art, or do you?
I guess that, like I said before, I just really want to be there for people. It's my way of, I guess, showing up. And I don't know, every farmer's market, there's someone who you can just tell it really affects them to be given a bouquet. They say, "Oh, my mom's in the hospital. She loves sweet peas. They're her favorite flower." And then you just know that it's going to really make an impact. It's going to really stand for something. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So describe for us your process. So I don't really know your process, but I'm just going to throw this out there. So you probably get up really early in the morning.
Always.
Yeah, I know this. And so you go out to the garden, and how does that process work to make bouquets?
So I guess for me, it's kind of a balance, because I do have kids during the summer at home, which is my busiest marketing season. And so I try to wake up before they wake up and get a lot of things done. And I guess there's two different process is. There's the seed starting, and that starts early spring, even winter. And we're doing a lot of hands-on, really hard work, and starting the seeds and watching that growth, and then you have your harvest, and that is quite a process. So you go out when I have a bouquet that I need to make, or 20 bouquets for the farmers market or for my CSA customers. I go early in the morning or even the night before to give them a chance to drink a lot of water. But you strip the leaves off, and you kind of need to know what flowers are in their peak. It's a lot of knowledge of knowing when to harvest something and how to harvest something for extended base life. And then I usually take everything from the field and go to my workstation.
Yes, I want to talk about your workstation. So
It is my favorite place.
Okay.
It's new this year. So last year we were a little smaller, and I was processing everything in my house, which made a huge mess, and there were kids running around, running amok. And so this year I just go right out my back door, and my big willow tree is shading my whole workspace. And I have tables set up. I have racks set up, and a beautiful stainless steel sink. And that is where I fill up all my vases and really process everything. And then I do all my arranging right there. I wash all my vases. It's perfect. And the willow, even on the hottest days where I'm processing flowers, rains on me. So I get a little bit of AC. It works great.
I didn't realize until we moved here, and we have a giant weeping willow in our backyard.
Yeah.
Why they call them weeping willows. I thought it was because of the shape of the branch, but they
Yeah.
actually
They do.
weep
They
on
mist you. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's a
It's
miracle.
wonderful on a hot day to go sit under the willow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I'm glad to hear your description of your studio, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much time do you spend in your garden daily or weekly or?
Oh, every day, and I go out multiple times a day. On a big work day where I'm preparing my bouquets, I will spend hours there, especially the day before farmers market. I try to do about 20 to 30 bouquets to sell at the market, and that usually happens on Thursday night right before. And I spend probably 5 hours out there harvesting, processing, and designing all of my work. So Thursdays are the big day, but every day I spend in the garden. Sometimes I just go out and look at stuff just to see where everything's at. Look at the bees, just make sure everything's doing okay. Yeah.
So when you go out in your garden, do your flowers call to you, like they sort of raise their hand like, I want to go.
Yeah, they sometimes do. I have, just like a baker, I guess I do have recipes. I kind of have in my brain what I'm going to do for the week. And it's more of like a seasonal hand raising, if you will. Right now, zinnias are just finally looking beautiful. So, in the early spring, sweet peas, which one of my favorite flowers, I use those heavily until they just are too hot to carry on, and then we move on. And it's like that until October,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Do you get sad during the winter when you look out and your flowers aren't growing? And
Okay, so yes and no. In the winter, by the winter time, I'm ready to just kind of do other things with my life,
That's fair.
do some reading, spend time just relaxing and not having as much of a scheduled kind of system. My kids are in school, and so then I have a little bit more time to do, hobbies and other things that interest me. But towards the end of winter, I am so desperate. I will go out messing with frozen dirt, just trying to feel alive. I love the spring.
Do you make any products with your flowers? Like,
I have been wanting to get into that, but I don't really, that's kind of beyond my ability right now, but I would love to do more research. I love to grow multi-use flowers. I'm really interested in flowers that have medicinal purposes. So I grow a lot of feverfew, which looks like chamomile. They're good for migraines and calendula. I have a gal that I gave her a bunch of calendula, and she gave me some salves and lotions. And I like doing that kind of stuff. You know, it just seems old-fashioned, and you're growing flowers that have multi-uses, which is perfect for a homestead or, you know, a small family. Yeah.
Another use for flowers beyond just their freshness in a bouquet is like a dye flower garden, and so you can grow flowers that they use for dyeing fabric or wool or you know, whatever.
I've seen a lot about that just this year, and it is so intriguing. But I'm not, as much as I love to do design work. I don't have a lot of talent in other artistic ways. So I feel like I'm a little bit limited to what I can do unless I practice. But I would love to dye, you know, cotton or linen with some of my flowers someday. So we'll see.
I can imagine you doing that and then doing something really cool with fabric.
Yeah, I've always been kind of drawn to fabric because it is a lot of the fabrics I like were plants at some point. And I do like that connection to nature because I think, you know, with floral design and using fabrics, you do have a connection to nature. And so I would love to do it someday, but maybe later on, maybe when things slow down. Yeah.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah, no kidding.
Slowing down. I don't know when it slows down. When does it slow down, Chuck?
I don't know. It still seems like it's speeding up every day.
Yeah.
Every day I want it to slow down. There's just more going on.
Yeah.
I really love some of the, talking about the dyeing stuff, I really love some of the science behind it. Like you can dunk fabric in something that is green and it comes out, you know, a completely different color. You know, and it's just about the chemical reactions and everything that happens. I mean, some of it, you dunk it in blue and it comes out blue, but there are a few things where you can mix things together and they come out a completely different color, almost like pottery. You know, the glazes aren't the color it's going to come out. You just kind of have to know and experiment with some of that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a lot of that stuff with the dyeing that's similar.
It's like a whole new side of things.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what intimidates me most is the science behind it. Because I want to do it right, you know. I want to do it right, but also I don't know if I have time to research all of that. I'm kind of a hands-on girl. I like to just go for it. Yeah.
Just play with it.
We'll see.
Yep. You have to let that creative spirit guide you.
Yeah.
So, do you exhibit or sell your work any place else besides the farmers market?
I am always happy for people to reach out to me. I do like to have people need something for a special occasion. But mostly I run the CSA. That usually starts in the early spring. I am opening it up for more people, more customers this year. And then you get a weekly bouquet that's seasonal. And that's one way, and the farmer's market is the other way right now.
Yeah. How has your vision evolved over time?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think, you know, when I first started out, I had a pretty strong background in agriculture, and that I thought that's really where my life was going to go, more of like a homesteading kind of thing that I was going to do. And then I got into the flower shop, and, you know, my vision kind of changed where I really love designing. It really fulfills me. I love the reaction that people have to that work. And now I think I've learned a lot about the floral industry, and some of it is a little scary. I really want, when I want my flowers to go out, I want them chemical free. I want them to be real. I don't want them to be a flower that doesn't have a scent anymore because it's been shipped around the world. So I think that has changed a lot, where I wanted to have a flower shop, more of a traditional flower shop. And then it changed to, I want to have a flower shop on my farm where people are getting to experience old-fashioned, real flowers that maybe reminds them of, the flowers their grandma grew, or, something that they don't even really remember, but when they smell it, they do. And that's kind of what has changed, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to say, when the beautiful bouquet sitting next to you, is that one of hers? Is that one of your bouquets?
It
Yes.
is.
Oh,
Yes.
it's beautiful.
It's a little old. It was from
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Diane is one of my customers.
Well, when she walked in the studio with it, it immediately made the whole studio smell amazing. I
Yeah.
could smell it the second you walked in the door here.
Yeah.
And I can smell it now. It's just filling up the whole room. It's really gorgeous. It's really nice.
It's a good smell. I love to have fresh flowers. It just brings, you get memories that you don't even have to think about them, but they're there. I don't know. I love having fresh flowers around. Yeah.
Yeah. I am one of Abigail's customers, and I think it was the week before your young son, the really cute one with all the freckles.
He's a Norman Rockwell, like in real life.
Yeah. So he came to the door when I picked up my bouquet, and so we were visiting a little bit, and then I said, do you like flowers as much as your mom likes flowers? And he said, no one likes flowers as much as my mom likes flowers.
They're my biggest fans. They help me all the time. And I feel really proud that they're growing up looking at flowers as not only, this is something that their mom is doing, but it's something that they can do too. They can follow through with a dream that isn't like gonna make a bunch of money maybe, but it means something. So I hope they get that from, hopefully they love flowers eventually as much as me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can interpret this question any way you want to, but what has been your most successful piece or bouquet? I don't want to say bouquet because maybe it's going to be a different answer so far.
Okay, so that's a really good question too. What I was just saying about my kids, I have 3 of them, Ava, Todd, and Juniper. And I do think that, I know this sounds really cheesy, but they, like what I was saying before, I want them to realize that this is like, it's a dream and it's coming true and that can happen. So I would say that they're seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So, I know that you have bigger aspirations than what you've talked about so far. So is there a future for this art expression?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I don't think I'll ever stop, even when I'm 110, because that's how long I'll live for. As far as here in Chihuahua goes, I want more. I want to expand my garden. I want to open it up repeatedly to the public. I've done that once last year. I had you pick flowers, but this year the weather's not cooperating. Someday I would love to be able for people to come out and see where their flowers come from and see my family and see, what the whole process and get to experience that. I would love to do big events. I want to do weddings really bad. I did weddings with the flower shop that I worked at in my 20s and a little bit later on. I would love to do weddings and, just big events in general. Just I love doing funeral work. I just think that, it's a really hard time and flowers are really important for that. It's like a rite of passage. So I'd love to get into that. And big parties, hotels. I would love to do some big pieces. And then as far as expanding the CSA, I want to open that up every year just a little bit more, because that directly helps me too. When it's early spring, I'm not bringing any money in. And so the money that I get from a CSA membership upfront pays for all of my seeds, all of my costs in the greenhouse, the soil, the trays, everything. So I would love to be able to open that up, because I do really enjoy, probably the CSA is maybe even a little more fun than the farmer's market. I just like the tradition. I don't know. It just feels good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of the CSA, that's where I met Abigail last year. And when the art auction was happening, I asked Abigail if she would donate a CSA, and she did. She donated it last year to the Taste of Chihuahua art auction, and she has agreed to do that again this year. So when you come to the brewery on Thursday, September 12th, and you're at the art auction, be sure to look at all the items. But Abigail will have a CSA for sale, and you can bid on it and hopefully win it. So, is there anything else that you would like to add, Abigail, that we haven't talked about?
No, I think I feel really happy with the questions that you asked. They were great questions, and I'm just really happy to be here. I love Chihuahua, and it's just a really happy place. I like to be here.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask really quick about
Yeah.
your pricing? So this is that okay? Would you mind
Yeah.
talking about that?
Oh, yeah.
Do you charge by the volume of the receptacle it's in, or the vase, or based on how many flowers it's in, or is
So
it
that
just,
can go a couple of different ways. The CSA membership is an upfront cost for 12 weeks of weekly, or 13 weeks of weekly bouquets.
Okay.
So it runs June until the end of September. I don't know. I have to check my list, but so that's $250 upfront, and then that kind of starts my season off. And then for the farmers market, I usually keep it really. I want everybody to have what they want and have something. So I range. Sometimes I even have $3 bouquets where it's just like a little bedside pick me up, And so $3, $5, 10, 15, 20. And then of course, if you want something bigger, we can talk about a budget, and come up with something together.
Okay.
Yeah. I also have restaurants buying flowers by the stem. And so I just provide a bucket of flowers that I price per stem.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the listeners, so I am not. I know the term CSA. I've never used a CSA. I vaguely know what they are. I've always thought of them as like produce, vegetables and stuff. Explain the process behind that. So if we wanted to go to the CSA, how would we get a hold of them? Where do we find it? And what do you said 12 weekly? Yes.
So
bouquets?
the way that it's set up is you would contact me. You can stop by the farmer's market. I also have Instagram. You can reach out. But word of mouth, I feel like people know me at this point, but you would reach out, and I'll advertise too in the spring. And basically I'll give a start date, and then we'll arrange if you want. I deliver free in town. So I deliver to a lot of businesses in town. The Creamery is one of my customers. Shout out to the Creamery. They're the best.
They really are.
They really are. Yeah, I'm like craving some cafe latte right now. So they, I deliver it free in town. And then I also have pickup at the farm where people really risk having my children accost them on my front porch when they pick up their bouquets. And then it's every week. Yeah. Yeah.
Flowers and cute kids. That sounds horrible.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
No. So this is your, and I was like I said, I'm not very familiar with the CSA system. So this is your individual thing. This isn't like as part of.
It is.
You can.
No, it's an individual thing.
Okay.
So a lot of times it is usually farm I guess, like produce. You know, you'd get a box of produce every week and you pay an upfront amount and that goes back into the farm. So I am a farmer, you know, I do grow flowers and vegetables. And so it does, those early spring months are so hard because I'm telling my husband, I got to have $500 worth of weed barrier. I have to have it.
Right.
And when I have that money coming in from a CSA, it really supports me and my family because we're not
Right.
having to use, you know, other funds. It all stays within kind of my business.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it helps you get everything ready.
It gets everything started, yeah.
Kind of gets you up and ground, and then.
And then the payback is that you have a flower that is a bouquet that is delivered, you know, and it's new. And I try to mix it up with the different flowers. And so I think it's kind of a give and take. I think it works really well for everybody.
You know what I would see as a benefit from that, and I'm sorry for taking up your time here. We're not great housekeepers at my house, but if we have a fresh bouquet of flowers out on the table, we're going to want to have everything around there always nice and clean. So if you have that weekly flower delivery, I'm willing to bet money you're going to stay on top of your housework, and you're going to make sure those dishes are done. You're going to make sure the kids' art projects, ongoing projects aren't cluttering up the kitchen table, and keep everything nice and neat.
Okay, let me let you in on
Okay.
some magic here. If you have a fresh bouquet, yeah, you do want to keep it clean, but also if you are really busy and you can't clean, you just put that on your, you know, your side table and people think you're fancy. They're like,
yeah.
oh, it looks so nice in here. Wow, look at your library and your flowers. You're so fancy. And they don't even see the mess.
And they don't even see the
No.
dust and the clutter and the old
It's
fork
magic.
sticking out of the couch cushion.
Yeah, it's magic.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of like inviting people over. Makes you want to.
Yeah,
And more reason to invite people over because you have beautiful fresh flowers out all the time.
it's true.
Right?
Yeah, it's nice to have company around flowers. I don't know why they go hand in hand, but they do. And I think they have for a really long time. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And I've always
Okay.
thought too, having fresh, flowers, plants and stuff in your house, it just makes the air feel cleaner and brighter. And I think there actually is some
There's
science behind that too.
Science behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It does. It filters the air and makes you, I don't know, breathe better.
Yeah.
And feel calm and organized.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I really appreciate about Abigail's bouquets is I also am a flower gardener. Not anymore, but I used to be. I used to be a flower gardener. I love flowers. You have such varied flowers, and it's just she makes beautiful bouquets.
I get inspired a lot, and I see a flower, online or read about it in a book, and I'm instantly like, oh, I gotta grow that. I have to try it. So a lot of the flowers every year are new, which is risky when you're trying to run a business, but it's rewarding too because it's an adventure. So a lot of my flowers were new this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's gardening is ever learning experience, and it's always an experiment. You're always and so just like any art, you're always experimenting and trying,
mixing it up and trying something new. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And even with the designs that I do, just like other artists, I am a perfectionist. Like I can get really every market I have my least favorite bouquet, and I'm like, I hate that bouquet. I don't know who would want it. And somebody always is like, this is the one. And so you have to remind yourself, like, art is for you, but it's also for other people, and it's personal,
Yeah.
So even flowers, that's the case.
That's really true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like the other day we had a musician here in the studio, and there was someone playing, and one of the musicians was like, man, that guy I was playing with, he had one of his strings out of tune, and it was just killing me. And to me, that was the one that just sort of made it feel so natural and fresh and unique, and this is lovely.
Yeah.
And it was because it was that sort of difference, that uniqueness, that really made it feel, not overproduced or not, made it feel authentic and
Authentic,
organic.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And I think art, that's exactly why there's art, because there's so many different personal preferences, and what I like and what you like is going to be different. And that's kind of, I guess, the magic behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think artists learn to make art that will appeal to more than one person.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
Very nice.
well, thank you everyone for listening. And thank you, Abigail, for sharing your very unique story.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's been really fun.
Yeah, this has been fun visiting with you. So listen in next week, same day, same time for Artists on the Air, where we are honoring and promoting our local artists.
There you go. Well, that was Artists on the Air, brought to you by the Chewelah Arts Guild. Thank you so much, Diane. And thank you so much, Abigail, for coming in. That was wonderful. Don't forget, you can tune in tonight from 6 to 9 p.m. We have Dr. Jazz live in the studio, followed up by The Soul Show with Mike Canton. We want to give another quick shout out to everyone for Summerfest. Everyone that came out, everyone that helped put it on. It was a great event. We really appreciate everyone and everything going on. And Diane, really quick before we head out here, tell us when those. Do you have a date yet for when those tickets for Taste of Chewelah are for sale?
I think they're out.
Are they out? Okay. Where can we buy them? Where can we get those tickets?
I think they're at Valley Drug and Acres United Drug and online.
There you go. And what is the address so you can get them online? Do you know? Just the ChewelahArtsGuild.org. Perfect. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Don't forget, you can tune in tomorrow morning as well for the KCHW Morning Show. It's going to be myself, Paula Randall, and Suzanne. Oh, goodness gracious. What is wrong with me? Sharon Ludwig. I was saying the wrong name. I was looking at you from the Arts Guild, and I almost said somebody else from the Arts Guild. Anyway, thank you so much. This is KCHW 102.7, Your Northern Lights Public Radio. I didn't have my song ready. All right, we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you so much.
Listen in as the Chewelah Arts Guild and KCHW 102.7 bring you